Hey guys, thank you so much for joining my channel. So for today I have prepared for you guys a really interesting topic and it's all about good debt. And I'm sure you heard from your parents, grandparents, your schools, universities, whatever schooling system, or even some financial gurus online that they kind of push you to get rid of all your debt, where I don't really agree with that statement. And by the end of this video, hopefully I can make you guys understand that there's a difference between bad debt and good debt. And also, I need to make a disclaimer, guys. If you are a shopaholic or you spend a lot of time spending a lot of money on a lot of non-essential items, I'll definitely suggest you guys go and click on the X button at the top corner of the screen, because everything I say here won't apply to you, because you need to kind of put in place your spending habits, and then we'll start discussing about good debt. So to better understand what good debt is, I'm going to split this video into 3 areas. The first one is cash flow. The second one is ROI, and it stands as return on investment. And the last one is just about showing you guys 2 examples, so all I teach you guys makes a lot more sense. So when it comes to cash flow, you guys need to understand, I think, the 4 areas of spendings as you want. So in previous videos, I covered in great detail. When it comes to your cash flow, you have 4 areas where you guys spend your money. It's necessities, it's assets, liabilities, and the 4th one is expenses. So when it comes to bad debt, right, we always talk about debt on liabilities and expenses. So expenses is classified as stuff you buy and that's it. You just buy them and they don't give you anything other than it's not really important, but you really want to have them. And liabilities are things that you spend money on and then they take money out of your pocket monthly. So a quick example of liability is getting, I guess, a loan on a really expensive car you don't need, right? So you spend money at the beginning, but then month by month you start spending money on insurance, paying back the loan, which has an interest attached to it, and maintenance. So that's liability. So an expenses is pretty much spending money on, I don't know, a holiday, right? You took it, it's an expense, but you paid it once and that's it. So debt attached to liabilities is classified as bad debt. So that's pretty much everybody that's kind of trying to scare you when it comes to debt. There's nothing to talk about necessities because you really need food, shelter, water, and clothes. That's nothing to discuss. But assets is the main area where debt is classified as good, because assets are items that you put money in and then they give you money back month to month. So I guess you would classify a rental property as an asset because you purchase it at the beginning and it generates money month to month. And at the ending, I'll give you a decent example how to use debt in this situation. And the next chapter I would classify as ROI, and this is the most important formula that you need to know. ROI means return on investment. So how much money you put in versus how much money you start taking out. So if you get a good return on investment is awesome. If you could get an infinite ROI, that's even better. And I'll explain in a couple of seconds how most people kind of get this return on investment as infinite, because they end up borrowing money. And then they just make money on the borrowed money and they don't put any money that they own themselves. So let me give you 2 examples to clear this up. So let's say in the first case you guys want to buy a house to repair it and then sell it for a profit. So let's say you found the perfect property that costs you $100,000. Pretty straightforward. So you have 2 options. Either you put 10% down as a deposit and you borrow the other 90% from the bank, or you buy it outright. Let's say you have £100,000. Apologies, $100,000. So in the first situation, you put down $10,000, and then the other you pretty much get it from the bank, and then you do the property up, and then let's say you sell it for $200,000. And in the second case, you just buy it for $100,000. You keep it for a few years, it's worth 200, and then you sell it. Same situation, right? So I'm just gonna put on this side and this side the calculations, so you guys kind of would see a bit better what I mean. So the whole point of this is kind of calculating the return on investment. So in the first case, you put $10,000, and in the second case, you put $100,000. In both cases, you sold the house for $200,000, and your profit was $100,000, right? In the first case, you pay the bank back, and for simplifying the calculation, I'm not going to put any interest on the bank loan because that's negligible for the moment, just to prove the example. So you are in the two situations here where in the first one, you invested $10,000 and you got $100,000 back. And in the second case, you put $100,000 and you got $100,000 back. So your return on investment should give you these numbers. So the return on investment here should be 10 times your investment you got back. So that's 1,000%, and this guy only got doubled his money, which is 100%. So this is where debt really pays to your advantage, because you could make the same amount of money, right, as these guys prove, but with less capital at the beginning. So this is such a situation where debt is beneficial. And I think I guess the second situation is where we're gonna continue with the same logic as before. So both cases you have $100,000, and this guy, as you said, bought one property for $100,000 and he keeps it for 5 years and he rents it out, let's say, and then after 5 years he sells it for $200,000. So this is this situation, and this guy that did as previously invested 10% to get the same property, well, he has $100,000 like the first guy. So this guy could invest in 10 properties with a 10% deposit, and if we sell these two guys after 5 years, think of this, taking ROI out of the discussion. So this guy has $100,000, pays for a house $100,000, and then he sells it in 5 years for $200,000. So he made $100,000 profit. But this guy did the 10% deposit on 10 houses that cost $100,000. So imagine how much money he made, that at the end all his 10 houses were worth $200,000. So after selling everything and then giving the money back to the bank that he owned, taking interest again out of this discussion, because you don't want to complicate this explanation, he's making $1 million. So why is that bad? Because he multiply the amount of profit with somebody else's money, which is the bank. So guys, and I want to keep this video really short and not overcomplicate these calculations, but try to develop a sense of financial IQ and stop listening to everybody and start forming your own opinions. Debt is not bad if it's used in the right situation. Debt on assets is always a good thing, because banks will give you money when it comes to real estate. and you can make profit on the bank's money, and that's really good. But the bank also gives you money when it comes to your liability. So bank will give you money on a really expensive house that you really don't need. Bank will give you a loan on a really expensive car that you really don't need. Bank will give you, I guess, for a stupid holiday, to be fair, that you really didn't need to take. So try to think for you guys. Debt can be good or bad, but it all depends on where you invest it, and always use your biggest asset that you have, and that's your brain. Well, take care, guys, and hope you make really smart decisions in the future. Have a nice day. Take care.